The Illini football team entered the second bye week with a record of 6-3. But why does it feel like that they're 3-6?
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Simple reminder, you can find us on your favorite audio platforms or right here on YouTube. Just do a quick search for Locked On Illini. Also, your favorite social media platform. All those accounts are run by me. So if you have some feedback for the show, if you have some comments, suggestions, or areas of improvement, just send me a message and just know it'll be me responding. If you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize for the slightly darker tone of the video today. I'm going through a little maintenance in the office where I shoot my videos. So I apologize for how dark it looks on the audio side. Everything should sound the same. And again, I appreciate you guys. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the football game from yesterday, where the Minnesota Golden Gophers won 25-17, a game that was a 50-50 battle almost throughout. Illinois had an opportunity to win at the end, just couldn't come through. But before we get started on that, I just want to mention that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. 25-17. Again, it's a team that Minnesota's now won 4 in a row, so there's no shame in losing to them. But I think the shame comes in from losing to a Minnesota team that kind of outplayed you in what's supposed to be your style of play. When it came to the trenches on both sides, their offensive line was better than ours, and their defensive line was better than ours. But having said all that, this was a game with 30 seconds left. Illinois was well in position to at least attempt to tie and potentially win this game. What's the vibe now amongst me and Locked On Illini Nation? Well, I asked you guys late Saturday. I asked of the 3 games that we have remaining, which is home against Michigan State, away at Rutgers, and away at Northwestern, how many of those games did you guys think that we're going to win? And the overwhelming favorite was 2 wins, and that would ultimately finish at 8-4, and that came out with a 51% overall. 3 wins was in second place, finishing 32%, and that would mean a 9-3 final record. 15% of you said 1 win, and that would finish at 7-5, and 2% of you were really Debbie Downers and said that we would not win any of the final 3 games and ultimately finish the season at 6-6. For the record, I think we're going to go 3-0. I think that, finishing 9-3 in the regular season with an opportunity to win double digits this season, if we win our bowl game, will ultimately still be a successful season. But we're only going to win 3 of those games. Heck, we're only going to win 2 of those games if we make some adjustments during this bye week. And that's what I kind of want to focus on today. In particular, today, I figured I'd focus on the offensive side, and later on this week, we'll kind of discuss the defensive side of the football. I'm sure if I asked all of you what was the number 1 area of improvement for our offensive side of the football, we'd all come up with the same answer, and that's the offensive line. Again, I talked about this in the post-game report yesterday, which I do after every game. So again, if you're not subscribed to this, if your notification button is not hit, definitely push that button because I go live immediately after every football and basketball game. But I talked about how it's puzzling to me that here we sit in year 4 and we still haven't figured out why Brett Bielema doesn't have his classic Brett Bielema offensive line. It's something for 2 years in a row now. We've had to make adjustments halfway through the year just to get to the level of being average. And, what the issue is there, I'm still not sure. But quite honestly, right now that we're 9 games in, I'm still not comfortable with what we have up front. J.C. Davis, solid starter. He belongs where he's at. But the other positions, I think that Brett Bielema and Bart Miller, they're going to have conversations in being on the same page that, hey, are we starting the right guys? Is there any movement that we need to make back and forth? Are there some guys who we should maybe give another opportunity, a younger guy who maybe is going to be able to start for us next year, and we need to get the reps in? Now, keep in mind, these next 3 games are very important for Illinois. We're not in a stage where we want to build reps for the future Illini teams. No, we still need to win these games this year. But I guess my question is, we've got a 9-game sample size now from the players that we have and had playing. Is there an opportunity to maybe give one of the younger guys a shot just to see if they're an upgrade from what we've had this year? Again, JC Davis, I feel good about. Melvin Priestley, probably he's locked in on the opposite side. But the other 3 positions, I'm not saying that we need to make changes, but changes is what happened last year. And our offensive line improved, greatly improved. Maybe that might be stretching it a bit. But by the end of the year, we had at least a conference average offensive line. And for some reason, that's all we're kind of striving for at this point for the Illini, which again, in year 4 for Brett Bielema seems kind of puzzling. The other thing that kind of stuck out to me was watching the post-game press conferences. The media interviewed Pat Bryant, and he talked about how he was a lot more comfortable playing in a faster pace. And that got me thinking. Because if you recall the last couple of games, I feel like Luke Altmyer's best drives were when it was a little more time sensitive and they were playing a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more hurry up. And that's what had me circling back and thinking about Pat Bryant's words. I think it's plenty obvious that our biggest weapons right now, because the aforementioned offensive line issues, are Luke Altmyer throwing to Zachary Franklin or throwing to Pat Bryant. And those 2 guys are guys who are going to play on Sundays at the NFL level. So maybe the best opportunity to improve our offense and, in a way, our defense is to continue to put the pressure on the opponent's defense. And don't give them opportunities to substitute. Make them call plays on the fly. I've talked about it on this show before. I'm one of Luke Altmyer's biggest backers, I feel, and I have been even before the season started. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, and obviously he's regressed a little bit in the last couple of games, and I just don't know if we're getting a glimpse of what happened to him last year. And that's, he kind of gets in his own head. Sure, he's not throwing interceptions, but his turnover numbers are still there. He just happens to be fumbling the ball and losing them. And that's something that can really shake the confidence of a quarterback as well. So maybe the solution to all this is to not give him time to think. Maybe what we kind of need to do is just continue, because when he's on, he's a top 5 quarterback in the conference. And again, he's got 2 cheat codes in the sense of the 2 guys he's throwing to. So maybe Pat Bryant's right. Maybe there's a conversation to be had that, hey, let's try to play a faster tempo, try to get the guys constantly moving, throw in a rush here and there with Josh McCray, and again, just kind of keep the opposing defenses off balance a little bit. I understand why we play as conservative as we do, and I know the fan base isn't a big fan of it, but it might be time to change things around a little bit. I think Barry Lunny Jr., I'm higher on Barry Lunny Jr. than most of the fan base seems to be. A lot of you, and I'm not saying it's without merit, but a lot of you are ready to move on from Barry and ready to move on from Aaron. I think I'm still good with both coordinators at this point, but I do think because of the circumstances of the personnel on this team that maybe we need to change something around. And if Pat Bryant, who's arguably our best wide receiver and our best offensive weapon, is saying he's more in sync with Luke when they play at a faster pace, maybe that's something that we need to consider. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that a change of pace will help this football team, or do you think that the solution to the offensive line problem can be taken care of during the bye week? Or is it ultimately something that we're going to have to fix in the offseason? Would love to hear what you guys think. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. the energy shot made just for super fans like us. The fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. Whether it comes to a big play in the game or just one of the big matchups like we have coming up against Michigan State, just remember that 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help you keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. Monday evening at 7 o'clock on, I believe, BTN Plus, the Fighting Illini will be opening up their basketball season this year by playing the Eastern Illinois Panthers. And let's be honest, the Eastern Illinois Panthers aren't exactly a powerhouse team like Ole Miss looked like they were during the exhibition matchup. Eastern Illinois in their last 4 seasons have won 9 games, 5 games, 9 games, and last year they had one of their better seasons, winning 14 games. The spread, last check, was about 27 in the favor of the Illini, and quite honestly, I would be surprised if Illinois didn't at least come close to covering that spread. But the spread is not what's important about this game, and quite honestly, winning is not important about this game. We should win this game. So what is important? Let's talk about it. For me, we've talked about all offseason long how deep this Illinois basketball team looks. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, I think Illinois is going to win this game very comfortably. But what I'm going to pay pretty close attention to is to see in the first 30 minutes what our lineups look like. Because I think Brad Underwood knows ultimately, even if you have 9 or 10 really good basketball players, you still want to focus on really the top 7 or maybe the top 8 and give them most of the minutes. So by the end of the game, if the box score has a lot of players playing 10, 11, 12 plus minutes, that's one thing. But who got you there? And eventually Brad Underwood knows he's going to have to shorten his rotation. And we saw during last Wednesday's episode of Everyday Starts Here, Brad Underwood mentioned that I don't even know who to play right now. Now, do I believe that? No, I don't. I think Brad Underwood absolutely knows what he's leaning towards when it comes to his rotation. But I think Monday night could be the first time we kind of get a glimpse of what exactly he has in mind. Which guys he's going to be asking to carry the team, at least earlier on in the year. Eastern Illinois is going to have to be a game that we kind of regain some of the confidence we might have lost against Ole Miss, because quite honestly, the schedule's not going to get much easier. In about 3 weeks, we're going to be playing a very, very good Alabama team on November 20th, I believe. And so we're going to need to get our confidence sky high just to be able to compete in that game. So it's not going to be important for me to see Kasparis play 35 minutes this game and come close to a triple-double. What I want to see is, does Kerry Booth have a big part of those first 30 minutes? You know, I know Visic is going to start, and I'm assuming Morez Johnson's going to be the guy coming behind him. Does Kerry Booth come in to spell Visic and Morez Johnson and maybe even Ben Hummerkaus? Or is Kerry Booth a guy who maybe ultimately is going to be more in line for a developmental year this year, and he's going to have a bigger role on this team when he's a junior the following season? I'm confident Ben Hummerkaus is going to be starting, but he's going to have to make a couple jump shots this game in order to ease the taste of people's mouths from that first game where I believe he was 0 for 4, and a lot of folks were trying to wonder, because let's be honest, if Ben Hummerkaus isn't making his open shots, then you kind of struggle to see what role he fits on this basketball team. He's an atrocious defender. He's just not athletic enough. And while his intentions may be nice and trying to get to a certain spot, quite honestly, almost every single time, at least during that exhibition match, the opponent got to that spot quicker. So Ben Hummerkaus, who Brad Underwood says is one of the best shooters that he's ever coached, is not making his jump shots, then quite honestly, I don't know if Ben Hummerkaus has a role on this basketball team. DGL, another player who a lot of us Illini fans are super excited to see. He was arguably our best player in that exhibition matchup. I'm curious to see how Underwood uses him in the season opener. I still don't know what his role is going to ultimately be. Is he the Justin Harmon role that I talked about from last season, where he's going to be the first guy off the bench to offer you scoring and energy, and not just on the offensive side, but on the defensive side as well? Or is Brad Underwood going to count on DGL as being one of our three main scorers on this team, a guy that we're going to rely on a lot more often in the big minutes of every matchup that we have? The other guy is just our wing minute balance, right? When you talk about Trey White, Will Riley, and Ty Rodgers, I'm very curious to see in the first 30 minutes on Monday night what the spread when it comes to the minutes between those three guys are. It seems unfathomable to me that Ty Rodgers would be limited in minutes, especially with his role on the team the past couple seasons. But obviously the staff really likes Trey White. And Will Riley has potentially the highest ceiling on this team and could be the best scorer on this team. So where does Ty Rodgers fit in? Again, that could be filling in occasionally at the 4 spot, which would eat in at Kerry Boots' numbers. Illinois should win this game pretty handedly on Monday night, but I'm just telling you, if we win by 20 points or less, I'm not going to be worried. If we win it by 10 points or less, maybe there's going to be a slight cause of concern there for me. But spoiler alert, sometime this week, I'm going to be doing my official basketball preview. And I do think that Illinois is going to struggle coming out of the gate. Now, that doesn't mean I'm down on the season. Absolutely not. And I'll get more into depth with that during the episode itself. So definitely stay tuned for that. But let me know what you think. Give me your final score predictions for Eastern Illinois. I'm going to go with 91-65. So we win by 26 points. I guess that means we don't quite cover the spread. 65 points is a lot of points, but we know that this team, I don't know, is all that focused on the defensive side right now. I think we are just going to try to play as aggressively as possible on the offensive side. So let me hear your final prediction thoughts, and we'll recap it tomorrow after the game. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And that's going to just about wrap it up for this episode of Locked On Illini. As I just mentioned, we'll be going live right here on this channel immediately after the Eastern Illinois game is over. So we can talk about the things that we liked, some things we didn't like, some things we're concerned about. I'll probably be addressing, my questions for today. Really pay attention to the first 30 minutes and to see who's getting the better part of those minutes, and what if we can get an idea of what the rotation's ultimately going to look like. Just like on the football side, I will be here immediately after the game. So definitely, please, on your way out, if you don't mind, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. My goal is to hit 1,500 subscribers by my birthday, which is December 11th. So we're a little over a month away. I think we can do it, and I can only do it with your support. Just remember, it's a way for you to support the program without actually having it cost you a penny. Again, I'm excited. The basketball season's finally here. I enjoy talking football. I'm one of those rare few who like football just as much as basketball. But I know the Illini fan base absolutely loves their basketball. So I'm looking forward to covering it for you guys, both on the male side and the female side. So, again, hit that notification button, and I'll see you immediately after the Eastern Illinois game on Monday night. Until then, ILL love you guys.